This is Sound Off 60, Southwest Louisiana's premier sports show.
Coaching staff was just like, you need to go through the same routine you were going through in the minor leagues. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Our skipper actually moved me up to the 2-hole in the order in the middle of that and said, hey, you're our guy, you're going to play, and we believe in you. And then got a few hits, started believing in myself.
Julio's coming back. Oh, forget it. The game's over. Forget it. The game's over. Oh, Julio.
Sound Off 60. Here are the guys, Rick, Scooter, and Kevin.
All right, boys and girls, another 60 minutes of Sound Off 60 sports television show. The best show in Southwest Louisiana, right here. You're on for it. All right, guys.
Always.
Let's have a little fun.
There today, huh?
A little cheerful.
Quite
My
casual.
little tiger.
Didn't we say it 3 weeks ago? Eventually, he'd start dressing like Bill Belichick, and now it's happened. Put the hoodie on. This is
I
the
don't
second
know.
hoodie.
That looks brand new.
It does look
way
brand.
too
I don't know why he's wearing it. I don't know. Oh, I know why. It's got his number.
Yeah.
His old number.
Yes, man.
That's what it's all
Name
about.
in the back and all that good
Holy-
stuff,
What,
man.
the
Yes.
name
Where
in
do
the
you
back? Are
find
you
all
kidding
this
me?
stuff?
This was issued to me. This is an issue.
Is your name on the back? Are you kidding me?
That
It
is
is,
not
isn't it?
50 years old.
50.
You know, if
Scooter
our,
always trying to
All right, look.
age me, man.
if our production crew
Scooter.
can do this,
Wow,
we've had to
Scooter.
do. I've requested this at least 10 times with you. Right now, we need to cue up Bruce Springsteen "Glory Days" because that is your theme song. You live in
Rick-
the glory days of yonder. Okay, that's your life, Kevin.
Scooter with all of his sports writing and everything about me through the years, man. Just me.
There
wake
it
up.
goes.
It just makes
Glory
me feel
days.
good about
there
myself,
it is again,
man.
Springsteen and "Glory Days."
I didn't know I was that good until Scooter wrote about
Oh,
me, man.
my
I
God.
really didn't.
Welcome, guys. We're going to get on some serious subjects.
Yes,
Let us
we
tell you
will.
who's going to be in the fourth chair tonight. That would be the chair next to you.
Next to me,
Mr.
yes, it
Guidry.
is. That would be the
Mr.
fourth
Hoodie
chair.
boy, all right?
The hoodie boy.
Newspaper boy, hoodie boy.
I'm here,
Cowboys
though.
head football
I'm
coach
here.
Lance Guidry is here at
And
Jack
Lance
Daniels.
will be here to
Glad to
talk
have
about
Lance.
how great Kevin was at LSU. I'm sure.
Now, you satisfied?
Okay.
Two
I'm
old
happy.
cornerbacks, two old
I'm happy.
defensive backs.
I'm
Talking
happy.
about.
I'm
All
happy.
right. He'll be in the fourth chair a little bit later on in the show. Also coming up later on in the show, second half hour,
Yes.
our resident sports orthopedic expert, Dr. Brett Cassidy, will be here. Every year he goes to spring training, and
Yes, he
spring
does.
the pitchers and
The
catchers
Orioles,
reported,
right?
the Orioles.
Yes.
Yes.
We want to talk with him about that, what he does for the Baltimore Orioles, and then the little kiddos are going to start throwing baseball because
They
my
are.
12-year-old's got to start throwing pretty soon.
They are.
Going to talk about how to get the young arms warmed up for Little League,
Yeah.
which is really right around
Go
the
ahead
him
and
healthy.
let him have the Tommy John surgery now.
right now, huh?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, guys. Come
It's
on.
a rite of passage.
Not
for
even
baseball
Yeah,
necessary.
players.
Not
you'd
even
be
necessary.
amazed how much
Get it
that's going on with
Not at
young
all.
kids.
Yeah.
We'll talk with Dr. Brett Cassidy about
Be good
that
talking with Doc.
a little bit later on in the show. Recruiting is kind of on our mind. We'll get into Pyeongchang. Am I doing it right? The Olympics later on in the show.
Yeah.
Anybody?
I've been watching a little bit of it.
I'm big on the Winter Olympics,
I'm
but I'm
not-
big
I'm
on
not-
one
I'm not.
part of it.
I'm
I
not
like
good.
me too,
I
curling.
mean,
Curling,
I'm not,
we know
curling,
the
yeah.
curling.
I'm not big on the figure skating. I can.
can't watch
I
that
can't
either.
watch figure
I
skating.
was kind of interested
I
when I
can't.
heard about the female with the wardrobe malfunction. Y'all heard about that?
I missed that now. See, maybe I should have.
Yeah, if you hadn't heard about it, we'll share a little
Seriously.
bit later on in the show.
Janet Jackson?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
sad.
It wasn't full Janet Jackson.
What?
But she kind of had to do her deal with
Really?
dancing like this to keep the top on.
Really?
Yeah.
Did they take off her scores for that?
She didn't do real well.
Were there
Her-
were there any male judges?
Well, it was her. It was her and a dancing partner.
I'm gonna
You're getting into some area that I want
I'm
to
just
avoid.
saying, guys. I'm just saying. That's
all
all.
right, we'll get
I'm
into
just
that.
saying.
But recruiting kind of tops our list for
Yeah.
this segment, next segment, and we'll talk to Coach
You know
Guidry
how
about
much I
recruiting.
love
Scooter's got all the
talking-
I
inside.
know you do, but
of
let's
that
touch
for
on
us.
the LSU,
All right, I
the
will
miss.
act like I care.
The miss for LSU. Patrick
miss.
Sertan Jr. out of
Big
Fort
miss.
Lauderdale. Sertan.
Maybe that's why they missed.
Well, he's from
You
Florida.
can't
He's from
pronounce
they're
his
from
name.
originally from Louisiana. Sertan, whatever.
Sertan.
Cormier, Guidry can talk about
Yeah.
that later. All right. How big of a miss was this? He's a number
talking
one.
about
Dude,
now?
Yeah.
what you mean?
yeah, he's number
Big
one in the
miss.
country, right?
Yeah.
Big miss.
What? That wasn't big, Scooter.
Well, he was the best cornerback in the country.
That wasn't big, Scooter.
But you can miss one player, but there was a domino effect.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
They kind of put all their eggs in that basket. I hate that bad cliche.
Yeah,
I'm a
pretty
newspaper
bad.
guy.
Pretty
I
bad.
shouldn't be using
Yeah.
that.
For a Hall of Fame
cliche.
sports writer
Yeah,
in
for a Hall of
Louisiana,
Fame, you still use that
that's pretty
cliche.
bad. But
Yeah.
what's your point?
because of going so heavy after him and getting, here I go again, left at the altar the night before.
That's terrible.
Wow. You know, they missed out on some others that could have softened that.
Yeah, a kid out of Missouri, Goodrich was one of the reports. Goodrich?
Yeah. But, I mean, it's still one guy out of a class, you know.
Yeah, but,
Right.
yeah, but
Quickly,
Scooter,
Kevin,
let me just
jump
Scooter,
in and
Scooter
just
is,
poop
Scooter is,
all of that.
Scooter's playing it down.
Poop pod.
That was
No,
a big
I'm
miss.
gonna-
That was a big miss. You know when you find a guy that could have been in the walks of a Patrick Peterson?
Yeah.
Dude, that's what you do.
Was he a Patrick Peterson?
Did we know Patrick Peterson was going to be a Patrick Peterson?
Yeah.
We did?
I don't remember back that far.
I didn't.
to be
I want
honest
to
with
ask
you.
something. How many times have you ever seen Surtain play?
Seen him on film. I didn't see him play.
Hey.
Seen him on film, Scooter.
Hey,
I didn't
great
see him play,
DNA.
Scooter.
All
But I seen
pro
him.
dad.
Man, are you serious? Yes, man. Why do you think they went after him?
Well, okay. I mean, we'll talk about that more in the second segment.
Yeah.
More in the second. I just wanted to throw it out there. All right. All right. Okay. The Cowboys signed 18. They got about 5 or 6 more scholarships. We'll talk about Lance Guidry about that. But it looked like from the position standpoint, he got what he needed. Admitted though there were some misses. How big are the misses?
Yeah.
When you want a guy and you don't get him, but you maybe get the second best player, Kevin. The perception of it from an LSU or McNeese standpoint. The perception. More so for LSU, especially, and again, I'm getting ahead of myself, but missing the kid because he goes to Alabama.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what hurt there.
Yeah, going to Alabama.
Yeah.
So a perception more so for LSU than a McNeese.
That's kind of what it all kind of went to when you saw where he was going, Greg. I think anywhere else in the country, it would have softened that blow of saying, well, okay, now you've got to see this kid.
Yeah,
now you've got to see him.
All right, I want to get into that in the second segment, but all right, so the Cowboys signed a solid 18. They filled some holes, and then they got a little extra to kind of play with to see what happens down the line. So we'll get into that with Lance Guidry a little bit later on. Yeah.
My thing is this, and Scooter may know better than me, Rick, better than me. In years past, for whatever reasons, when you had a big kid coming out of Louisiana, mostly, 9 times out of 10, if LSU was in that top 5 echelon, doing good, beating people that were highly ranked, those kids ended up at LSU. When LSU fall,
You said I might know better?
and when LSU fall, Rick, from that national status that they've had for quite some years, kids tend to go elsewhere.
Can we? I know you're biting at the bit.
If the speaker will yield the floor.
Well, no, he'll yield it in the second segment. Yield it in the second segment. Yield it. I know.
You're killing me tonight,
All right.
bro. You're killing me.
Let me shift gears because I want to bounce a
That's
little bit.
my perception of it, Rick.
LSU basketball, McNeese basketball. LSU men are struggling. The Cowboys are struggling. The Cowboys have lost 4 straight home games. The last 2 had to rallies fall short. I can give you a quick sense of McNeese. Give me a quick sense of LSU.
Seems to be a recurring theme with McNeese. The rally fell short.
A 26-point deficit and then a 10-point deficit against Stephen F. Austin, 26, 10 points against Southeastern, and they fall short. Are these 2 teams going in the same direction?
Oh, no. I
I'm talking about LSU and McNeese.
I think LSU
I think Wade
is absolute good as they possibly could have been expected
Okay.
to
All right.
this year.
Expected to be.
Yeah.
All right.
First-year coach, Rick. First-year coach. Come on, give the guy a break, man.
I mean,
First-year coach.
what were you expecting? A team that won
No,
2
no.
conference games last
Not
year
at all.
was
Not
going
at
to go
all.
to the NCAA
No,
tournament?
I did not expect that. I did not expect that.
No,
We'll get,
I think. I mean, you've got to be encouraged. Plus, get back to recruit. If you get to recruiting again, he's got the 3rd-ranked team in the country
Coming.
Coming.
All right. We're up
And
against the
he's-
clock. We'll take a
he's-
short
I
pause.
think
Stay
he's done
stay
very
right
well
here.
this year.
We'll get back on the LSU perception problem with Alabama. After that, we'll get Lance Guidry to talk about Cowboy recruiting.
It's real.
We're doing all
It's
that in about 1.5 to 2 minutes. So
It's
stay right
real.
here when I go for it.
Soundoff 60 is presented by Jack Daniels Bar and Grill at LaBerge Casino Resort.
You don't have to sacrifice taste to stay in the game. Miller Lite, always brewed to have more taste and be less filling. Miller Lite, hold true.
On or off the field, training and experience matter. As a board-certified and fellowship-trained surgeon, Dr. Brett Cassio has the training and experience to help you get back in the game. Award-winning research, the latest orthopedic techniques, right here at home. Cassio Sports Medicine.
Only one light beer has more taste, less calories, and half the carbs. This one. Miller Lite. Hold true.
All right, welcome back to the show. We touched on, and I want to get on the LSU perception issue with missing out on players that they miss out on. Now, to be fair, LSU got the 1 and number 2 players rated in Louisiana. The wide receiver
in Louisiana.
Is it 3?
Yeah.
They're
Louisiana,
getting the
though.
top. They're getting the top ones in Louisiana, but they're missing out on the
But let me say
number
this.
1 cornerback.
But let me say this. SEC
Who's in the
teams,
country?
Alabama and Georgia are getting nationally ranked number 1 and number 2
All right,
players.
so let me jump
That's
in.
the difference, Rick.
So you are highly negative of the recruiting
That's the difference,
effort.
Rick.
But LSU got the number 1 receiver in the country.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. But
I'm being fair.
Georgia got how many number 1
Oh, a
players in the
bunch.
nation?
A bunch.
A bunch.
I'm not arguing that,
My point,
Kevin.
Scooter.
So you're saying you're negative. You
No,
have
no,
ill
wait,
will against
wait.
LSU's recruiting effort this year. You think it's weak or
In,
good?
in years past, yes, it's weak.
Okay,
In
I'm
years
trying to
past,
get the truth
yes,
out
it's
of it.
weak.
I'm trying to
Yes,
get the
it's
truth
weak.
out of it.
And I think Scooter might agree with me. Yes, it's weak.
Well, you know.
12th, 13th rated?
Dude, we've never been that low before.
But
dude.
It's the lowest since, I think, 06.
Okay,
Thank you.
But
Thank you, Scooter.
You get
Thank you.
one player. You actually did you not report on this in the American press? You get if you get Patrick
Yeah,
Surtain,
That's
all
what,
of a sudden it drops you to top 10. They move up. One player can make a
and
difference.
you know, I cover recruiting for about a week every year.
Yeah.
I ignore it the rest of the year.
I disagree with that, but
Proud
that's
of
you.
it.
That's you.
Ignore it.
All right.
But yeah, the people that do, that really need to get a life, but do cover that 52 weeks a year, yeah, they said Surtain would have put them in the top 10.
In the top
But
10.
Wow.
I still say, if Surtain had signed with Penn State, it wouldn't have been that big a deal.
Yeah. You're right, Scooter. You signed with Alabama. Come
Because
on,
it's
dude.
Alabama and because
Come
of the
on,
riches.
dude.
All right.
Yeah.
Guys, in the state of Louisiana, or let me just say the pathway that covers the SEC, does LSU have a perception problem when they lose out on such a high-profile player? Is it going to be a kickback on bad perception that LSU can't land the big guy?
Well,
And
Rick,
don't forget, this guy was from Fort Lauderdale. And I
Yeah.
know he had Louisiana
Both
connections.
parents. Both parents from Louisiana.
Yeah.
From Louisiana. His dad played at Southern Miss.
Yep.
His dad apparently wanted him to go to LSU.
And
bad.
Wow.
Didn't his dad, the former NFL defensive back, thought he was going to LSU the whole time?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he was shocked.
Yeah.
Shocked, reportedly shocked. I mean,
Yeah, at least his dad didn't walk off the stage.
Yeah.
Like his Scooter. We got to talk about that.
Like the one in Pensacola.
She had her shirt on. I mean, I'm not knocking it, but
Yeah.
she was telling everybody, I know where my
but
son's
Kevin,
going.
Corey Raymond,
Yeah.
the secondary coach,
Yes.
been working on this kid probably since he came out of the womb. I'm being
3
facetious.
years.
No. He had been working on it for quite some time.
But that's, we'll talk to Coach Guidry about that. But that's the recruiting wars.
It is. It
That's
is.
what happens.
But, Rick, you know what?
Sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't.
Rick, you always have to look at recruiting, and we can ask Coach Lance this. You almost have to look at recruiting as if you would if you're the NFL drafting players. Because you got to have a backup.
You got a board. You got to have a board.
You got to have a
Well, they
backup.
have a
Rick.
board.
Because, like Scooter say, nothing's etched in stone that you've got this kid. But if you lose this kid, look what we've got for B. You know, Rick, you can't, like Scooter say, you can't put all your eggs in one basket,
Well,
dude.
they didn't. They
you
didn't.
can't do that.
But they miss out.
This reminds me, you know what was the best thing about the Saints winning the Super Bowl?
Tell me, please.
The week of the Super Bowl was also the week of National Signing Day,
Yeah.
and I was in Miami. And
We know you hate
Million
recruiting. How many
miles
times are
away.
you going to beat that drum?
And you didn't know.
The
Okay,
drum
Scooter.
has been beaten.
And you didn't know, Scooter, okay?
All right.
That's all, Rick.
If I understood Orgeron right, the early signing period, the coaches are still trying to fill that out. If I understood him right, I think he might have second guessed that LSU signed, what, 21?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
In December. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's a fine line between, well, you might lose him or, you know. I think he would have liked to have had a few more spots to play with.
Yeah.
Maybe not offer quite as many then. Because basically, I think that's how they lost the guy from Missouri. They went into National Signing Day with only 4 spots open, tied for the most.
Yeah.
I think it was maybe Penn State also signed 21.
Yeah.
But
A lot of
nobody
signings.
else. And most of them signed, you know, 17, 18, 19.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but I think maybe Orgeron, when he analyzes it now, maybe they didn't have enough wiggle room going into.
That's something to think about.
Well,
Something to think about.
Because
Yeah, Scooter.
the guy that was Plan B, they couldn't really offer
Right.
until Surtain told them no.
No, and he goes to Clemson.
It was too late.
He goes
It was
to
too late.
Clemson on Monday, then they find out Tuesday.
Yeah.
It-
Okay.
So,
All right.
you know,
As we go to
Well,
break,
well-
Kevin, does it make you feel any better that the young Surtain got choked up, was emotional, and came to tears after telling LSU that he's going to Alabama? Does it make you feel any better?
No.
No, I didn't think so. All right, we'll leave it at that. We'll leave
do
it
it
at
like
that.
that, Ricky.
Hoodie Boy
No.
is going to be depressed for the rest of the show, but
I'll
maybe
do it
we'll
like
get him
that.
out of his
No.
funk. All right, short commercial break. Enjoy these messages. When we come back, we'll talk Cowboy recruiting and Cowboy football with
All
Lance
right.
Guidry. Hang around. That's
Let's
coming
do
up
it.
next.
Soundoff 60 is presented by Jack Daniels Bar and Grill at LaBerge Casino Resort. Check us out online at soundoff60tv.com.
Enjoy a more reliable, responsible, intelligent, and connected indoor environment that easily adjusts to your preferences, no matter where you are. Uncompromising, unmistakable. Luxair. Get connected with a Luxair dealer near you by visiting luxair.com/solar supply.
Let's talk about funerals of the happy variety. See, back in the 70s, there were folks in Austin who liked music and Shinerbach. Trouble was, there wasn't always a delivery truck for Shinerbach. But there was a hippie man with a funeral car. Wisdom would say, don't put the fate of your beer in the hands of delivery hippies with hearses. Then again, wisdom does not drink.
Hi, welcome back to the show. In the fourth chair, we want to welcome McNeese head football coach Lance Guidry, who's joined us
Good
here
to
at
have Coach
Soundoff
Guidry
60.
with us.
We've got a couple of segments with Coach, and first off, let us thank you profusely. We all should bow down to you because you're here on your on a happy anniversary.
I
Yes.
know.
Holy smokes!
I know, man.
That's hard work. I mean,
Yes.
coming
Coach, that's
here-
dedication. I got to give it to you.
We
That's
appreciate
dedication.
Yeah, I got
Thank
that text, that reminder to be here at 4:45 or whatever. I'm like, God, I got to put in my schedule started. So we're going to go out a little bit
We
later. so we'll be
appreciate it,
fine.
man. We appreciate
Who
it,
gets
man.
married on Luna Gras?
We
I
appreciate
guess
it, man.
it's not that.
I know.
Tell the lovely
Yeah.
bride we appreciate your time.
Most
all
definitely,
We're going to
man.
have a little bit of fun with you. First off, congratulations over a solid recruiting class. When I sat down with you during a national signing day, I said, give me a letter grade. And if I thought the letter grade might have been an A-. Is my memory serves?
B.
B?
I think so.
Okay.
B plus.
All right. Why is that? Why do you think?
Well, we really wanted 2 quarterbacks. We wanted a pocket passer guy and an athlete, and we ended up losing the pocket guy, who was also a really good athlete. He was from the Dallas area, and he ended up having to stay close to home. His father had passed a couple years ago, and his mama's gotten sick, and actually he ended up going to a Division II school, Midwestern State. But it was hard. He was crying on the phone, you know. But really, it was a family decision, and you can't argue with what he did. So, but the good thing is we're open to a transfer So at the end of the spring, there's always some quarterbacks that are unhappy, and we're looking for one with about 3 years left, and you never know where one may come from.
Well, let me jump in before Hobbs does. Let's stay on that track a little bit in regards to give us a sense of where your quarterback, because you know how I am with quarterbacks. I mean, it's always on my mind. Where are you on the board? I mean, Tavery going into a senior year, and then Orgeron, and then
Keller,
yeah.
Keller, and then of course the freshman from Welch, he'll probably redshirt. And really good athlete. Ogeron's a good athlete.
Zach Hayes, we're talking about.
Keller's a good athlete. So you got 3 good athletes. James is more of a pocket guy. But when we had our meeting, when they came back to school, we let everybody know that nobody has a position. Nobody. I mean, we're starting from scratch. Everybody's competing for a starting role, and I'll name the starter. Northern Colorado week at every position. So it is a true competition to the end.
That's what I like about it,
those young
Coach.
guys need to know that they have a shot, and last year was not acceptable at any, you know, we was 9-2, which that was good, but we felt like we underachieved on offense, and it wasn't all the quarterback's fault. I mean, it was coaches and the whole deal, offensive line, wide receiver, everything, running back. So we'll start from scratch with everything, and that's what's the beauty of it, you know, it's competition. So
From what you were saying that day, this Zach Hayes out of Welsh, hometown boy for you, you're kind of intrigued, and you don't really know what you're going to do with him yet, right?
Yeah, well, we're going to play him at quarterback. You know, he's legit 4'5", and when people say 4'5", usually a kid's 4'6", 4'7", but I think every time this kid's been timed, he's run, of course, low 4'4" for the high school coaches. And, I know what he runs in the 100 meters, and he's a very good a very good baseball guy. He's very fast, plays center field, pitches, he does a lot of things, but it's real intriguing to have a guy like that, you know, especially today. I mean, with the spread offenses, you don't have to be real big of a quarterback anymore. Depends on what you do. So if you can get a guy like that developed to play quarterback, he's really, really dangerous on third downs. And of course, Coach Joseph is moving to quarterbacks. He's going to coach the quarterbacks. Coach Hofer is going to go to wide receivers. And so Kerry's going to do a good job of tutoring those guys. And of course, Coach Hofer is a wide receiver guy, and he's going to get our wideouts better. So it's exciting times when you kind of shuffle the staff around and kind of get them like you want them.
Well, again, let me interrupt. You know, I got to ask: is that a byproduct of the struggles offensively?
No.
Was that a plan change? You just think it's going to?
Yeah, I think it's going to
work.
work.
About Kerry Joseph taking over the quarterback.
Well, Coach Hofer, of course, when you're an offensive coordinator, it's hard to do it from the wide receiver position. I mean, it's very hard to install offense from the wide receiver position, and he felt like he needed at least 2 years so that the quarterback could see it through his eyes. But now it's gotten to a point, okay, who's really better for certain positions. And of course, Coach Hofer comes from the Leach family, which he's a wide receiver guy who played with Crabtree and Wes Welker and all these guys, Danny Amendola. And of course, KJ is a quarterback guy. So it kind of works out. This is the time to do it, and I think James is going to benefit from it. Because Kerry's got all the little tricks of the trade. I mean,
can't argue with that.
One of the things that you said, Coach Gidger, that kind of stayed on my mind, and it's kind of like it was when I was back at LSU when Coach Arnsparger was there.
It's not about you, Kevin.
You didn't know who was going to start first game. And I think what that does, even if you have a guy that's penciled in as your starter, you're going to make him work even more to see just how good he can be. And you've got guys behind him saying, can I get to that point to where I can get him? So that strategy, Coach, I think every coach should do it, because what it does, it puts you in a position to where the guy that you put out there as the starter, you know he's earned it, and you know he's going to be well deserving of it. Getting back to a lot of the things that happened this year, Coach Lance, do you think that maybe offensively you should have maybe pushed the envelope a little bit more downfield just to stretch it a little bit more? Do you go back and look at some film and say, that game right there, we should have threw it 4 or 5 times deeper more than what we did?
Well, what my message was to the offensive guys, and of course, I was on the defensive side, and it's hard to do both. It's hard to be the defensive coordinator and go in there and dip into their room and try to tell them what they do, because I don't watch a lot of their film of what they're seeing. But some point in the season, and especially after, I told them that you have to know what you got, what type of players you have. You got to get the ball in their hands, and you got to create ways. Even if it's not in your offense, you got to create ways to get them the ball. And then you look on the other side and, okay, what's their deficiency?
Exactly.
Who is the person we can attack?
Go after.
I mean, that's what I do as a defensive guy. When I get to third down, I look at who is the weak sister, who's the offensive lineman we can create a one-on-one with, And that's what I do. And offensively, it's no different. So for you to say it's not in your system, then you need to change your system. Or you need to add on to your system, I guess is what I should say.
Why Coach Lance and I always have good conversations? How many times have I said this to you and Scooter about create matchups, know where the weak person is? I feel like I'm talking to myself when I'm talking to you guys. But when Coach Gidry come on, I feel like I'm having a conversation.
That's groundbreaking stuff.
I feel like I'm having a conversation with somebody, man. Jeez,
all right,
man.
let me tell you, Lance Gidry has joined us. He's the Cowboy head football coach. Let's move on. Let's get back to the recruiting class.
Okay.
Because I know you like it. You got some offensive linemen that are big. You got some wide receivers, a number of them, and. I'm going to let you identify the kid out of Rain that you identified as possibly the steal. This guy give us a little background on him and then handicap these offensive linemen and receivers in general.
Well, Trent Wimbush is a kid that everybody missed
Rain
on.
High School, correct?
Rain High School. And the reason why they missed on him is because a lot of people didn't know he was going to be eligible. So we went in there and we looked at things. We looked at the transcript. And we looked at his test scores. And we always sit down with the counselors and see what other classes they can take. So we did that. He still had a little bit of room that he was going to have to make up toward the end. But what people didn't know is they didn't do enough homework and find out that he not only took an ACT, but he took an SAT. And the SAT he took was 1,100 in 2 parts, which is equivalent to about a 22 or 23. And he had like a 17 or an 18 on the ACT. Good. Nobody knew about that test. So you have to go in and invest your time and really get into there and really find out, okay, so we went in there trying to figure out how to get this kid eligible. And by us investing time, we found out that there was another test out there that the counselor didn't have on file, but the kid knew he had. So they ended up pulling up through the SAT system, and he had the test.
Are you serious?
I think the kid would have been a Conference USA to Sun Belt player, no doubt.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, he's the MVP in the state on one side of the ball. I mean, if you look at his award, he had more yards this year. He broke the record of guy played at Rain, played at LSU, the great returner, Josh Reed.
Josh Reed.
He broke Josh Reed's record as a tailback.
Josh Reed.
So we're going to play him at safety. I think he can play the nickel. He can play free. He can play weak safety. I mean, I'm not too sure he can't play corner. I really like. He's a physical.
Punt return. Punt return.
Possibly a running back, kick returner.
Yeah. Hang on to that thought. We'll take a short pause. We're coming back with Lance Gidry to talk about that. We're going to talk about Florida State. We're going to set that record straight, if you will. But first off, 10 seconds or less. Don't go there, Hobbs.
What are you?
I'm going to put the love
Let
Dr.
it go,
hat
Hobbs.
on.
Hobbs, let it go,
love
man.
Dr. Hat.
Let it go.
Educate us. You got an anniversary. We're doing our show production on Monday. Valentine's Day is Wednesday.
Yeah.
Do you double dip, or is this
no?
going to be?
Coach Lance would never do that, man.
We never
Coach
have.
Lance is straight up guy. Tell him, Coach Lance.
Never have. We
never
always
double
treat
dip, man.
We always treat ours anniversary as Valentine's Day. So we do it big on that day. And we don't do nothing special. When you love each other, you don't have to impress each other like that.
That's why that man still have an anniversary.
That's
Dude is smart.
24 years.
See somebody like you, Rick?
What?
Or Mel would put the heat on you.
Back in 2 minutes.
Mel would
right
get
there.
you.
Sound Off 60 is brought to you by Jack Daniels Bar and Grill at LaBerge Casino Resort. The boys in the box will be right back.
You don't have to sacrifice taste to stay in the game. Miller Lite, always brewed to have more taste and be less filling. Miller Lite, hold true.
Enjoy a more reliable, responsible, intelligent, and connected indoor environment that easily adjusts to your preferences, no matter where you are. Uncompromising, unmistakable. Luxair. Get connected with a Luxair dealer near you by visiting luxair.com/solar supply.
Only one light beer has more taste, less calories, and half the carbs. This one. Miller Lite. Hold true.
All right, welcome back to the show. Cowboys head football coach Lance Gidry is continuing to stay with us, talk about recruiting, Florida State, and a few other subjects in between. We've already covered the love doctor portion of it, so let's move on. Offensive linemen, numbers. You got to have numbers, and you got to have size, but then you got to have some. You got to have speed too. You got to have footwork. Give us a sense of that offensive lineman.
Well, we signed 2 junior college kids in the early signing period.
Yeah.
So a kid from Mississippi and a kid from Texas. And so that's 2 older guys. One's with us already. The other one will come during the summer. And then we signed 3 high school guys, 2 out of San Antonio and 1 from the Dallas area.
Wow.
2 big offensive tackles. One of the offensive tackles, his dad's actually from New Orleans. And then we signed a guard from the same school. His mom and his dad's from New Orleans. So a lot of connections to that. Went to the same schools as Coach A-Row did in elementary and all that. So I think it's a really good class. But, you know, we're probably going to sign 2 or 3 more coming over the spring or over the summer. Either some JUCO guys or some transfer guys that we own right now. So we can upgrade a little bit.
Good. Let me ask you a
One
quick
more
question.
recruiting question. No, you just
Okay,
hush.
I'll wait. Okay.
Yes, sir.
We talked second segment about how the coaches in FBS, I think, are still feeling their way around this new sign, you know, the early one. What from the FCS standpoint, was it that much different, or what
Not
did
really
you-
for us. I
what
mean,
did
some
you struggle
some of
with?
the FCS coaches were panicking, like they felt like they had to hurry and sign their guys before the FBS guys would come in and steal their kids. But the FBS guys were signing all their kids early, so they were just going after the kids that I guess that they felt like they had to really work for. So I think that they kind of went to the higher standard to get those kids rather than going to dipping lower to our level. So what we did was I don't like signing kids early that have never visited our campus, because we have to make sure we retain our kids. So I like for them to come and visit with their parents, and when they decide to come here and sign, that they feel good about everything. Whereas if we sign them in that early signing period and then they get to Lake Charles and McNeese and they really don't feel it, then what do we do with that situation? You know, because you got to retain kids. So we'll do it the same way like we always did. Probably try to sign the junior college guys early. That way, and or a transfer. Try to get him in as early as we can, which it wouldn't be a sign, but we'll probably keep going the same way. On the upper level, what I find they did is they signed as many as they could early, and then it shortened up their list so they could target their guys, and they started moving on juniors.
Oh yeah,
You know,
they
so
spent as much
that's
time
what they
on
did.
that.
They was on juniors through all that period in January.
Coach Gidry, you had mentioned that you had a couple more spots that you had open, that you may be looking at some special people to put in when you say maybe go the route of maybe JUCO. When you look at that route, Coach Gidry, are you looking at specialty positions for those type guys? Because you've got somebody that's been into a system already, and you've got film on that person. Do you look at that person as coming in and initially being a starter, or somebody that can help you right away?
Yeah, I mean, most of the time when we go JUCO route or transfer, we want a guy that can come in and he's better than what we have.
Exactly.
So, I mean, we signed a safety the day after signing date out of Fullerton Junior College. He's by way of, he's from Maryland. We got him a big safety. We think he's going to come in and start. He had FAU. He actually had signed at FAU, and then something happened where he didn't get eligible with the class, so his scholarship was null and void, and then he came in and visited us. He had us, Buffalo, and Lamar, and UAB, and he shut down his recruiting to come to us. So he's a kid we feel like should come in and start, and then if we take any transfer offensive linemen, they need to come in and be ready to play.
Right away.
You know, because we got some young guys that need more developing, so that's kind of where we're at when we take transfers, and, or a guy that's out there that we feel like we can't pass up, you know. So it could be a quarterback position, you know, this year that maybe a kid comes and wants to transfer and he's got 3 more years and we feel like we can't pass him up because we can't get him out of high school. We can only get him through transfer.
Lance Gidry, Cowboy head football coach, has joined us. Got a couple more minutes. Let's get on the Florida State story. We followed it here pretty closely here at soundoff60. I used that phrase in the magazine columns. You were flirtation with Florida State. It was much more than just flirting with Florida State. You were talking with an old friend of yours who you worked under at Western Kentucky, Willie Taggart, who's the head coach with the Seminoles. The simple question is, the time that elapsed, Lance, it all signs pointed to usually that happens. You're gone. But it didn't work that way, a little bit against the norm. Why did Lance Gidry return to McNeese and not go to Tallahassee with Florida State?
Basically, because I was at McNeese, played a big part of it. You know, I was at my alma mater, so things had to be right for me to leave. And it was kind of, we was up against the clock because he, of course, offered me the position, and he offered me a certain amount of money, and I felt like that I needed more money for me to leave because on paper I make a certain amount. I get so much from my TV show. My wife makes a certain amount of money. My daughter goes to UL Lafayette, so she gets cut in me being at the university. So I wasn't going to make enough money in my eyes to be able to up and just leave Lake Charles and McNeese. I wasn't going to put enough away because you never know in the coaching business, 2 years I could be fired. Well, was it a good move? Because it's hard to come back into Louisiana somewhere and I make $180,000 base pay salary. I mean, that's you can't go to a high school and make that kind of money, you know. So you never know. So it had to be right, and then it was getting close to our recruiting weekend, and the president was getting nervous, and of course the AD was getting nervous, and our coaches were getting nervous, and it was against time. And if I'd have been at another university, I probably would have waited it out, tell you the truth. But since it was at my university, my alma mater, I felt like it wasn't right, and I owed my university more than that. And so we kind of parted on separate ways, and it was a good thing. He understood my side, and I understood his side because he was trying to hire offensive coordinator. He was in recruiting as well, so it just didn't match at the right time. But it could happen later. You never know. But I'm happy to be back at McNeese and, you know, working with guys I love. I love our coaches and love our players. It's always good to be home.
What was that mood at Florida State like down there? Not necessarily from a newcomer, Taggart, coming in, but, you know, they're not used to losing a coach like a Jimbo down there.
Yeah, you know, I don't know because I didn't talk to anybody other than the coaches. I got there on a Saturday. I was late. My flight got delayed, and that might have been the first sign it wasn't going to work out. I didn't get there until about 10 o'clock at night, and so I visited with them briefly, and then the Sunday morning I got in there real early, and we started talking ball, and get a defense coordinator from Michigan State that they had hired in there. Really liked him, and some of the other guys on staff I'd worked with, and they had some Florida State guys, and put me up on the board, and of course, I mean, I'm not intimidated by anybody. I got on the board, and we talked football, me and the DC, and we had a good relationship, and then, you know, I left on that Monday morning or whatever and came back.
Well, I got to jump in for the folks who may not understand it. Put you on the board. Explain to the viewers.
Talk
putting
defense.
You on the board.
Well, just
strategy.
talk defense, you know.
How did I know that?
What do you do against this? What have you seen? And then
illustrate.
they want to know what you do at McNeese and why are we so good at McNeese out of the 4-2-5? How can we stop the run with 5 DBs, not a 4-3 or 3-4? They want to know that. And then different philosophies and then that type of stuff.
McNeese President Darryl Burkell was on the show. We talked to Darryl about this, and look, and I would think Bruce Hemphill would say the same thing. I think we're all on the record. For you to have Florida State interested in you is highly complimentary of you and your acumen and your skills and your resume, but also complimentary for the McNeese State football program. And I believe that. And are we all in agreement with that?
Well, totally.
I don't know. Did you get any negative out on the street in this region of the state saying, "Coach, are you kidding me? Why do you want to leave?"
Well, you're gonna get different. You're gonna get different ends. You're gonna have some guys say, "Man, you should have went for anything." It's Florida State, and other people were like, well, why would you go? You're the head coach at McNeese. You have your own time schedule, and that guy didn't take you to South Florida.
Yeah, you run the shop.
So you had all that, but truth be told, I actually got offered another position before that, but it didn't transpire at Oregon. So their DC over there was supposed to go with Coach Taggart to Florida State. It didn't happen, but if he did, I probably would have been defense coordinator at University of Oregon. But you have to leave McNeese in order to get those type of connections.
They would let you do both?
The rollerblade.
If you just stay at McNeese and you've always been at McNeese, you circle small. So
yeah, I mean,
you're right.
We talked about it. I actually mentioned that in a piece that I wrote about this whole situation. That when you move on to bigger, all of a sudden, well, they don't use them anymore, but your Rolodex gets bigger.
It does.
You expand your contacts.
People,
that's the business of
you're
college
more
football.
visible and people
It's the
see you
business.
more and all that.
It's the business.
But Coach Guidry, the only thing I can say is, you know, when a person look at you as being a player here and as a coach here and as a head coach here, I mean, loyalty. I mean, that's what I put the stamp on for you.
Yeah.
Being here at McNeese, man,
well,
is
I mean,
that.
You wouldn't do any different to LSU if maybe an NFL, if you was the head coach at LSU and an NFL team was coming in and they was offering you maybe a position that maybe you dreamed of, but maybe the pay wasn't what you think it should be. Well, it's going to take more to get you out of LSU than that because that's your alma mater and you love that place and you owe things to people. Not that I feel like I owe a ton of people here, but I mean they did give me a chance to be a head coach, you know, and I played here, so McNeese means something to me.
All right, Coach, we appreciate it. Quick thoughts on
Rick,
getting ready for
say
spring.
something real quick?
What? You've been on a soapbox all
Coach
night.
Bill put me on the board.
Oh, my God. February 28th, spring practice, spring camp opens up. Quick thoughts on that? And I got to ask you about a player that I talked with you about, Mohammed Hafnif. Am I saying
Hanif.
Highly, 2 years ago, was hurt. He's coming back. He's going to be in for spring. You're going to put him through some maybe light duty?
He'll go through some light duty. He won't be able to tackle, but, you know, stars are just stars. They don't mean anything.
Right.
2 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars, 5 stars, they don't mean nothing. I think
that?
the Honey Badger was a 2-star until LSU offered him.
Right.
And he became a 3-star, and he became a Heisman Trophy guy.
You have a lot of promise, and you have a lot of potential with this kid out of
Yeah, I
Houston.
think he's a talented kid, but I mean, we got to develop it, and he got to develop himself, and we got a bunch of good players on our defense, and you know, I'm excited.
And let me say this, and Coach Guidry can vouch for this. In years past, you've had kids that have been 3, 4 stars that haven't amounted to anything. Why? A lot of it has to do with the coaching. You can't get a kid with that much talent and you can't coach him. Say, what good is he doing? I mean, if you can't coach him, you got to be able to coach him. Good players just don't play on their own, Scoot.
I'm with you, Kevin. You've been on a soapbox the entire show. Get down on the soapbox.
Golly,
Lance, have a
man.
great anniversary
Appreciate
week
it.
and
Jeez, man.
Valentine's week.
Thank
We appreciate you coming in.
Coach,
All right,
come
we're
on
gonna take
all
a
the
2-minute break.
anytime,
The
Coach.
fourth
Come on
chair
anytime.
won't stay
Coach.
empty for long. Dr. Brett Cassio is coming up next. Stay right there.
Jack Daniels Bar and Grill at LeBear's Casino Resort, home of soundoff60. Round 5 with the boys coming up.
Today's story is about bars, where not beer, but time is served. The original brewmaster of Shinerbach, Cosmo Spetzel, went to jail for delivering beer to the good folks of Texas. Now, after nearly 2 years of serving time, why would this man go back to the same dark craft that got him locked away? 'Cause to not brew Bach would be the crime.
All right, welcome back to the show. In the fourth chair, didn't stay empty for long. Dr. Brett Cassio from Cassio Sports Medicine, our resident expert when it comes
Good
to
to have Doc
orthopedic
in,
surgery and all
always.
that sports medicine stuff. Got to take a breath. It's been a while. Welcome
sir.
back
Yes,
to the
it's
show. I
been a
want to
while.
talk to you. Every year, you go to Florida for spring training camp, and
Yes,
the
sir.
pitchers and catchers reported this week or today, maybe
Yes,
tomorrow,
sir.
or something like that. And you go down and work with the Baltimore Orioles. Give us a sense of what you do with the Orioles and what you look for. What is going to be your role there, and has it changed over the last couple of years?
Where do the Orioles?
Sarasota, Florida.
Sarasota, yeah.
Okay.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful place. The beach is great. It's not overbuilt.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. I like to bring my family down to
Oh, yeah,
visit because
beautiful town. I
the field is about a 5 or 10 minute drive from the beach.
Oh, thank you for rubbing
it's
that
great.
in. We
Yeah.
appreciate it. We appreciate it.
It's a little early this year, so it's still a little chilly, but it's a great spot. I basically go and help with physicals and then cover the players to give the docs that are the day-to-day docs up
Right.
in Baltimore a break so that because they have to fly down for Baltimore and cover the team for that month.
Right.
You know, spring training
Long
is
time.
about 6 weeks long.
Yeah.
And once they start playing games, they have about 15 home games and 15 away games. And it's not just the major league team. There's about 200 players in camp, all the different levels of ball, from rookie ball on up, and even a lot of players that are rehabbing. And so when the major league team might be home, the other teams are traveling to different places. So it takes a lot of docs. There's a lot of moving parts. It's a huge
forgot about
production.
that.
There's actually 2 separate sites for the Orioles. They have the major league camp, and then they have what's called the minor league camp that's about 20 miles away at a place called Twin Lakes.
Okay.
It's just a huge production and a lot of complex moving parts. And one day we'll do physicals for 50 players, and the next day we might have 2 or 3 people transferring in from Dominican Republic or something, and they might do a trade. But before that trade is final, they have to pass a physical. And so we look through their medical records and look the player over and make sure that if the club's going to spend that kind of money, that they're going to get their money's worth.
Well, this is interesting you bring that up. Most recently with the New Orleans Saints, a physical helped save a deep snapper's life.
That's
they
right.
found a heart defect. Nick Fairley, of course, the Auburn guy, can't play football anymore because it appeared.
He's a nose guard.
Nose guard.
I thought it was a deep snapper
Yeah,
who had
yeah,
the heart
that's what I.
problem.
That's what I thought.
Nick
Fairly.
Fairley.
No. There was another guy that was
Oh,
traded
wow.
to the
Yeah,
Saints.
they found
I don't know about him.
They
Yeah.
found
Okay.
he was a deep snapper, and,
Right.
and it could have killed him. So
Yep.
these physicals are very important.
And
They are.
the Orioles have 10 or so primary care doctors, cardiologists come down from Johns Hopkins. Their eye exams are done by the doctors from Johns Hopkins. All these docs fly down to Sarasota and do the exams. And at that level, the orthopedic doc only does the orthopedic
I
exam.
understand that, but
which
yeah.
at the high school level, we like to do that too. And the college level, we like to do that. But resources aren't as great.
And your
as
connection
for-
with the Orioles is from medical school for Johns Hopkins when you did work in Baltimore.
From residency.
From
When I
residency
lived
in
in
Baltimore.
I lived in Baltimore. I was at Hopkins for 5 years, and I've maintained that relationship. And I'm one of the lucky few that get
It's a
to
good
go down
relationship.
every year, and it's wonderful.
Good.
Dr. Mike Jacobs is the head team physician, been there for years.
Yeah.
And he trusts me enough to go down there and be part of the team.
So you said, when you do a physical, you're just doing the orthopedic part of the physical, and what are you looking for?
Well, so it depends. It's position specific. So for a catcher, you can imagine their right arm or left arm, whatever they're throwing down the second base arm is, and their knees. Those are the two things.
Yeah.
For a pitcher, obviously it's going to be their shoulder, elbow. But you got to do an exam on the whole person, make sure something is not going on new from last season.
Right.
But most of these players are very well known to the organization. They draft them when they're 18, 19 years old, and they are their main medical provider for their entire career. Most of these guys, I would say, have had one or two procedures, and we have to maintain that. And not all, for instance, somebody might be from a different city. They might go back to Dallas and have a surgery in Dallas, so we have to check in their records, make sure things are good, their rehab's good, and they're ready to step on the field. So,
Doc, tricky question. You're examining a guy that, say, it's in a contract year, and you find something on him that maybe nobody noticed or didn't recognize at the time, and see that maybe down the road, 6 months, a year from now, it could be a problem. Do you have to comment on that?
Yes, you have to comment on everything. You have to examine the player, and if you have to be the eyes and ears for the club to make sure their investment is sound. But you're also the doctor for the player and do what's in his best interest. It's a balance. I mean, that's why you go to school for 15, 20 years because it is a balance. There's no right answer, and every situation is completely different.
I'm sure every situation is going to be more than one opinion too.
If you have 5 different doctors, you're going to have 5 opinions as well, and that's absolutely
But what I'm
right.
saying is they wouldn't just say one guy says,
Right.
we
No
gotta
doubt.
cut him.
And
I mean, they will. I'm sure there's a team of doctors.
no doubt, and being part of a team is one of the key things. And as doctors, you'll find the best doctors they leave their egos at the door, and they're very willing to make have second opinions and be a team player in those situations.
Dr. Brett Cassio has joined us here at Soundoff 60. Dr. Brett Cassio with the Memorial Hospital, also Cassio Sports Medicine here in Lake Charles. Not new anymore, but on Nelson Road. So check that out. We're Mardi Gras week. Happy Mardi Gras, by the way, guys.
Same to you guys, Rick.
Pretty soon, Little League is kicking in. And we talk with you, we try to every year, we talk to you about, my little 12-year-old is going to start throwing baseball. You've got young kids that now, with the weather, if it ever gets warm enough, that you can start throwing some baseballs. Give the parents and the young players, the Little Leaguers and high school guys who are going to start throwing more, what you need to, because more and more, Doc, I know kids elbows are getting, having operations on now. At 10, 11, 12-year-olds, they're overdoing it with these joints and tendons.
Yeah.
What do they need to do to get ready for baseball season?
Well, hopefully it took a break because you shouldn't be playing baseball year-round. That's the number one thing.
Yeah.
Playing for 2 different teams or more, is also a big deal. Catching and pitching, also a big deal. Really throwing breaking balls is not that bad of a deal. It's just how many throws you're throwing. And, studies have shown the harder you throw, the bigger the child is, the harder they're throwing. That's also puts them at risk. If there's a website called Stop Sports Injuries by Dr. Andrews out of Birmingham. You can look up, there's a list of things to look up and try to stay away from all that.
Sports injuries.
Stop sports injuries, that's right. And we see it, we're about to start seeing it
a lot more. You know, once football ends, I have a little break, and then the Little League injuries start rolling in. That's correct.
Is there like some type of standard that you look at the Little League coaches? I think Rick is one of the coaches for his team.
No.
And
Basketball
the thing happened,
is my thing.
I went to one of the
Not
games,
baseball.
and I mean, I looked at Rick's bullpen. He had ice on his shoulder.
Yep.
Kid had ice on the knees, Doc.
Yeah. He's asking me to give him Toradol shots.
Yeah. Win at all costs, baby. Win at all costs.
I'm picking Rick. I love you, man. No, Rick gets into it, man.
But if I'm reading between the lines,
kudos to him.
When the Little League associations, which are big in Southwest Louisiana, you know that.
Huge, absolutely.
Follow the pitch count, right?
That's right.
Follow that pitch count. And most of the time, as a spectator, you know, they do, don't they? I mean, I've seen them watch it pretty
absolutely.
closely. I've seen them watch
South Lake Charles Little League is what I'm most familiar with. Absolutely follow the pitch count.
Yeah.
Good.
And then, you know, travel ball, that kind of stuff. But you can't throw the same pitch count for Little League and then it doesn't restart for travel ball the next day.
Right.
It's one count for the whole week.
Settle the debate.
Yeah.
Settle the debate. What is the worst kind of pitch 11, 12, or 13-year-old should stay away from? What is the worst kind of pitch at that age?
It's just the number of pitches.
I thought it was the curve.
It's just the number of pitches. You can throw a breaking ball. You just need to be careful, be taught correctly, but it's the number of throws. But I can tell you what.
The number of throws.
Teach your son how to throw a knuckleball, because if you can control a knuckleball, you can throw till you're 40 years old.
Yeah.
It doesn't overdo the joints.
I've never heard of a
and nobody can.
throw a
I want to see that.
I mean, if you got a 9-year-old knuckleballer,
Teach him.
No, but he's not under any pitch count. He can throw 400 pitches if he wants.
That's right.
Y'all crazy, man.
Dr. Brett Cassio, we appreciate you coming in.
Always,
Mardi
Doc.
Gras
It's
week,
always
family in. We appreciate you coming in. Always a
Yeah.
pleasure to learn from you, sir. Have a great trip to Sarasota.
Thank you.
I envy you. It's a beautiful
Yes,
town
you
below
will.
Tampa and
I promise
Bradenton down there. All right, we're going to come back in about 2 minutes and wrap it up here, so don't go far.
Sound Off 60 is brought to you by our friends at Jack Daniel's Bar and Grill at L'Auberge Casino Resort. Sound Off 60 24/7 online at soundoff60tv.com.
For more taste, less calories, and half the carbs, there's only one light beer to grab. Miller Lite. Hold true.
On or off the field, training and experience matter. As a board-certified and fellowship-trained surgeon, Dr. Brett Cassio has the training and experience to help you get back in the game. Award-winning research, the latest orthopedic techniques, right here at home. Cassio Sports Medicine.
You don't have to sacrifice taste to stay in the game. Miller Lite, always brewed to have more taste and be less filling. Miller Lite, hold true.
All right, welcome back to the show. Many thanks for Cowboy head football coach Lance Guidry and Dr. Brett Cassio to join us on the show tonight. If you missed any of those segments, you can always catch it on the Encore broadcast all Monday through Sunday nights at 9 o'clock.
Glad to have 'em.
On Channel 4 Sudden Link or soundoff60tv.com.
Yes.
Soundoff60tv.com. World Wide Web. You can't get away from us. We're everywhere. All right, we've covered a lot of recruiting news. We talked about the Patrick Surtain situation, junior, by the way.
Yeah.
The perception of LSU, signing with Alabama, Georgia with the #1 recruiting class. And Urban Meyer.
Georgia.
Urban Meyer. Ohio State, always 2 and 3, man. Always
Well, he's
2 and 3.
always there.
I mean, he's always there. Alabama with like 5 or 6 rated.
Georgia.
You don't like it. LSU is like 12 to 13. All of that, look,
You know
you're
what?
not going
Let
to
me-
know for a couple years. All right,
And
you're
you're
not
right.
going to know for a couple years what kind of impact some of these younger players are going to have on your program.
But Rick, let me tell you, the thing that I think that's got a lot of these teams, as you went into Georgia and Alabama, Rick, kids like to go to places that are winning.
Well, that's what Surtain said.
This is a no-brainer.
He wanted to go to a
nothing
winning
that's really
culture.
hard to look at.
All right, I got you.
Kids want to go places where they're winning.
All right. And let's not look. I know your opinion of recruiting. I know it, but look, Lance Guidry said, stars can only go so far. I'm with him on that to a point. Patrick Surtain, he's a five-star. He's a five-star.
Dude,
for a
he's
reason.
going to be.
Odds are he's going to be a very good player.
This kid is going to be a good player, man.
I don't doubt it.
He's going to be a good player.
Let's clarify. Recruiting is the lifeblood of a program.
Yes, it is.
It is.
My problem with the recruiting is it's not a spectator sport.
That's right. I agree.
Okay.
It takes a lot of homework, a lot of video, a lot of
It is.
speculation, a lot of evaluation, and a lot of projection. This kid is going to be good at this position. Well, this kid may get, it's a lot of that.
And you look at your program
lot of
as to where
ambiguity.
it's at now, based on who you need to get and go get and everything. People keep saying, does Alabama need that many good players? Because
yes, they do.
They've got good players.
Yes,
there.
they do. Yes, they do. All right.
How do you stop that, dude?
You can't.
You can't. That's my point. How do you stop
LSU,
that?
again, that perception. LSU is going to continue to seem to be dropping further behind Alabama.
my point.
And I don't agree with it totally.
That's my point,
I don't.
though, Rick.
I don't agree with it.
But do you know what the main reason is? Maybe Scooter can agree. You know what the main reason is? LSU hasn't been winning. LSU hasn't been winning, Rick.
You act like this is the 90s again, though.
No, but I'm saying, Scooter, when we was getting those good players, man, LSU was in the top 5, man.
Get a quarterback. Get a quarterback.
Really?
Get a quarterback.
Really?
All right.
That's another
Let's
case.
talk about this Josh McDaniel story. The New England offensive coordinator says,
I'm a little
yes,
confused at that.
Indianapolis,
I'm a
I'm
little
coming
confused.
to Indy. Less than a day later, no, I'm not. He goes
This
back
is
to
what
New
gets
England.
me.
Man, that is talk about perception.
Well, this is what
That's
gets
a
me.
perception problem for the Indianapolis.
What made him change his
It's
mind?
a perception problem for the Patriots, too.
Yes, it is.
Because it's sure, you look at that and you go, wait a minute, who turns down an NFL head coaching job? Well, maybe the Patriots is about to come open.
Let me tell you what. Look, let me tell you.
Why do you
and
think
Scooter,
he did it?
Bill Belichick is retiring, dude. He's
Not
retiring.
this year. Not this year.
Soon,
Maybe one more year.
Soon.
I'd say
Because
maybe two.
Look at the comment he made to Josh. He said, "Let me give you everything that I need to." What does that tell you?
But
what does that tell
why
you?
did
Rick?
Robert Kraft take so long to jump in and make
I don't
this
know.
offer and get this?
I don't
Look,
know. I don't
mean,
know.
You've been talking to the
I don't
Colts for a couple of weeks.
Look, for Josh to turn down that job, he knows something the three of us don't.
Well,
I'm gonna say it like that.
It doesn't,
and it's
it
gonna
doesn't
happen
make
soon.
him look real good either.
And it's
it
gonna happen
doesn't look
soon.
good for Josh McDaniel.
Well,
it
somebody
really doesn't.
pointed out to me. All right, it's one thing. He had some assistants who had left their jobs and were joining his staff.
That
Already?
the Colts hired.
They didn't have jobs to go back to.
That's right.
Really? Didn't
They
know
left
that.
out the Colts. To me,
Did not know that.
that is-
Yeah.
The
I did
Colts,
not know
the
that.
Colts have since hired Frank
Did
Reich
not know
from
that.
the Philadelphia Eagles. Spent 1 year as their offensive coordinator, the former Bills quarterback.
Wow.
Remember Frank Reich?
Yeah.
Now,
not know
hopefully
that.
he'll retain those guys. I don't know. I mean,
I'm pretty sure he
in
may.
development, but it
Wow.
doesn't look good. It doesn't look good for the Colts. It doesn't look good for the Patriots. It doesn't look good for Josh McDaniel.
But I can't see how
I don't
Josh
blame
let
him.
those other guys leave their jobs
I know.
to come
I know.
with him.
But the Colts are pitiful. They are pitiful.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's
And
been
they're
a good
covered.
organization.
I know, but
It's
they've
not like
dropped.
Cleveland.
And Andrew Luck's
Is he
got
coming
issues.
back?
They say he's coming back, but will he be full? I don't know. It's a
all blows
situation.
my mind, Rick.
It's a
It does.
situation. I
It
don't
blows
like
my
it.
mind, man.
Bob,
That
it reminds
situation
me
right
of Bobby
there.
Petrino. You know how
It
I feel
blows
about
my
Bobby
mind.
Petrino. You know, when he left the Atlanta Falcons to
That
go to
situation
Arkansas, that
blows
whole
my
thing.
mind
All right,
totally.
guys. You know, we didn't throw out anything.
We didn't,
don't
and you
have
know
any
what?
color on. But we want to wish you a happy Mardi Gras anyway.
And be safe.
Yeah. You're going to have fun down in New Orleans at
I
Zulu,
will.
huh?
I can't wait. I'm on my way
I
now.
tell you, I envy you guys. you just envy you. In the Zulu
I
parade.
can't wait.
on
It's
Fat
one of the
Tuesday.
biggest parades in New Orleans.
All right, great
guys.
show, guys. Great show.
Always.
We'll do it
We
all
had a
again
great
next
time
time,
tonight.
everybody. Have a great sports week and have a safe Mardi Gras.
Yes.
Sound Off 60 airs on Suddenlink Cable Channel 4 Monday through Sunday nights at 9 and again Saturday and Sunday mornings at 10. Sound Off 60 also airs throughout Southwest Louisiana on Vive Broadband Channel 6 at 9 p.m. Check your local listings. Post your questions and comments for the guys and access our website and our great advertising partners at soundoff60tv.com.